She had the title. She had the tiara. She had the world at her feet. But somehow Sarah Ferguson turned royal privilege into one of the most public, drawn-out financial catastrophes in modern aristocratic history. This isn't just a story about debt. It's not even just about scandal. This is the saga of a woman who believed that fame equaled fortune.
If you want more unfiltered royal truth, not the palace-approved version, hit like, subscribe and tell us in the comments, are Beatrice and Eugenie breaking the cycle or repeating history? Stay tuned. The tea only gets hotter.
Weren't equipped to handle. Where Princess Diana embodied tragic elegance, Fergie was a champagne-soaked hurricane of charm, sass, and unchecked spending. When she returned from a shopping trip to New York in 1988 with 50 suitcases full of designer goods, the palace aides weren't just concerned, they were horrified. 50 suitcases of couture, accessories, and luxury splurges, stacked like a department store, exploded in the back of a Rolls-Royce. That moment wasn't just indulgent, it was prophetic, because it revealed the one flaw that would come to define her, a complete disconnect from financial reality. She thought being royal meant bottomless credit, that her HRH initials came with an unlimited MX. But it didn't. And soon, the bills came crashing down. By the early 90s, she was reportedly in £4 million of debt. That's not a misprint. £4 million. Gone on lavish parties, first-class travel, personal trainers, jewelry, luxury homes, and the fantasy that she could sustain the lifestyle of a duchess without the discipline of a businesswoman. And then came the divorce. She was out. No title, no HRH, no royal allowance. Suddenly, Fergie had to earn. She crossed the Atlantic to reinvent herself in the United States, trading castles for couches on daytime talk shows. And to her credit, it almost worked. She became the relatable ex-royal. Funny, self-deprecating. She cracked jokes about her scandals. She signed on with Weight Watchers and made over $1 million a year. She wrote books, made appearances. She branded herself as a symbol of reinvention and people bought it. But she didn't change. Behind the scenes, the money flowed out faster than it came in. Private chefs, chauffeur services, exclusive hotels, round-the-clock staff. Her lifestyle remained royal even if her status didn't. She didn't pivot. She didn't downsize. She just spent more chasing relevance, chasing the next opportunity, trying to keep up the illusion that she was still in with the royal family when in reality, she was inching further and further out. And then came the disasters. 2009. Her company, Hartmore, collapsed. 2010. The infamous undercover sting that shattered her public image. She was caught on video offering access to Prince Andrew in exchange for £500,000. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't defensible. It was raw, transactional, and broadcast worldwide. And just like that, the People's Duchess became the pay-per-view Duchess. The fallout was immediate. Endorsement deals, gone. Corporate partnerships, gone. Respect, in the wind. Her financial lifeline, her association with royalty, had become a liability. But instead of laying low, she dug herself deeper. She threw herself into risky business deals, trying to claw her way back to solvency. She dipped her toes into film production, wellness retreats, lifestyle brands. Nothing stuck. And then came one of the most bizarre chapters, her involvement in a failed Bitcoin project in Nevada. Yes, Bitcoin. She bought into a vision of a crypto-fueled wellness city in the desert, a digital utopia that promised to change the world. It collapsed before it even broke ground. Another investment, another black hole, another red flag. Through it all, her lifeline remained Andrew, her ex-husband, her anchor, her perpetual bailout. He paid debts, covered expenses, and according to sources continued to shelter her long after their official separation. They lived together, ate together, functioned as a strange post-royal unit. It was less a love story and more a financial codependency born from shared exile. But as Andrew's own world unraveled thanks to his infamous friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, Fergie's support system began to evaporate. She wasn't just guilty by association. She was directly linked. She accepted money from Epstein, an arrangement she later claimed was innocent, financial help repaid, blah blah blah, but the damage was done. The public saw desperation. The royal family saw liability. By the 2020s, the royal support system was collapsing around her. King Charles had taken the throne with a clear mandate: slim down the monarchy, cut off the scandals, and distance the crown from disgrace. And that meant one thing for Fergie: eviction. Royal Lodge, The last vestige of her former life was no longer hers to claim. The writing was on the wall. The palace wouldn't pay the utilities, the security, the staff, not for her. Not anymore. Charles made it clear. This was the end of the line. And then just when the headlines couldn't get worse came her health crisis. In 2023, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. A double mastectomy. A very real, very human struggle. And for a brief, shining moment, public sympathy returned. She shared her story. She spoke about strength, gratitude, resilience. Social media lit up with messages of support. The Duchess had beaten the odds again. But critics weren't so sure, because almost immediately, she returned to the PR circuit. Interviews, wellness tips, motivational speaking, Instagram posts about spiritual rebirth. To some, it felt more like branding than healing. The timing was sharp. The narrative was tight. The critics saw strategy, a calculated pivot to regain relevance. Because for Fergie, relevance is income. Sympathy is survival. And she's always known how to tell a good story. Which brings us to her final act, the memoir. Sources say she's deep in negotiations for a multi-million-pound deal. One that would spill secrets, air grievances, expose life inside the royal bubble. Some in the palace are terrified. Others are resigned. But make no mistake, this is her last big swing. Because she knows the reality. This is it. There's no royal comeback. No Weight Watchers gig. No miracle investor waiting in the wings. The only thing she has left to sell is herself. Her truth. Her perspective. Her version of events. Her pain. Her triumphs. Her mistakes, all gift-wrapped in scandal and served to a world that can't look away. And maybe, just maybe, it'll work. Because if Sarah Ferguson has proven anything, it's that she's a survivor. Not a graceful one. Not always a wise one. But a survivor nonetheless. Her legacy, not a duchess. Not an author. Not even a scandal queen. She is the cautionary tale. The woman who had it all and spent it all on trainers, shopping sprees, private chefs, and the illusion of infinite glamour. She's the walking warning that fame without financial discipline is a ticking time bomb. But she's also something else, a storyteller. A master of reinvention. A woman who, even at rock bottom, can turn her collapse into content. And now, the world waits for her next chapter. Because say what you will about Fergie, you will read it. And here's the brutal truth, she's counting on it. Sarah Ferguson knows exactly how this game works. She's played it for nearly 4 decades. Scandal, setback, redemption, repeat. Every time the tabloids say she's finished, she comes back with a reinvention. A reinvention so flamboyant and performative you almost have to admire the sheer audacity. She doesn't just turn the page, she rips out the whole chapter and writes in one in lipstick and glitter. But this memoir, this is different. This is the endgame. The final roll of the dice. Because what else is left? She's burned through the public goodwill. The royal connections have dried up. The charity work, while genuine in moments, never fully repaired her image. The TV appearances became tired. The endorsements, non-existent. And the lifestyle she once called normal, private planes, gourmet chefs, 5-star spas, £30,000 a year school fees, has long outpaced her means. She was never willing to scale down. Not really. She couldn't reconcile the image of Duchess Sarah, the woman who wore tiaras and sat next to kings, with the actual numbers in her bank account. And so she kept living as if she still belonged in that world, even when it was clear she no longer did. And the price of that illusion, debt, dependency, disgrace. And so, the memoir, not just a book but a lifeline. A last-ditch effort to turn decades of chaos into cash. And make no mistake, it will sell. Not because people love her, but because people can't look away. The public is morbidly fascinated by Sarah Ferguson. She's the car crash you can't stop staring at, the royal rogue who never learned how to disappear. And the promise of secrets, of behind-the-scenes royal drama, of off-the-record palace whispers and eyebrow-raising truths. That's gold. Tabloid gold. Streaming docuseries gold. Potentially even lawsuit gold. Because if she tells everything, the money, the marriage, the fallout with Andrew, the real reason she stuck so close to Epstein, her failed businesses, her behind-the-scenes begging for support from Charles, it will ignite a media firestorm. But here's the real kicker. Even if it burns every remaining bridge, she might still do it. Why? Because she doesn't have the luxury of silence anymore. Silence doesn't pay the bills. Discretion won't clear the debt collectors circling her life like vultures. Silence won't buy her a villa in Italy to vanish into quietly. And so, she do what she's always done when cornered. She talk. Loudly, dramatically, confessionally. She cry on cue. She declared this is her truth. She blamed the tabloids, the monarchy, her upbringing, her need to feel loved. She called herself misunderstood. She say she never had a chance. And maybe, just maybe, she actually believe it. And maybe you will too. Because that's her gift. Sarah Ferguson doesn't just weather storms, she invites them, dances in them, and then sells the footage to the highest bidder. But here's the other side of that storm. It's lonely. The same doors she once breezed through in designer heels are now locked. The royal family, now fully under the stewardship of King Charles, is not interested in nostalgic indulgence. He's all about efficiency, modernity, dignity, and Sarah, she's none of those things. She's the loud, messy footnote they want to delete, the embarrassing aunt no one wants to sit next to at weddings. And with the royal lodge gone, so too is her last remaining tie to the institution that both made her and destroyed her. And yet, there's a weird kind of strength in that. Because Sarah Ferguson, for all her flaws, for all her catastrophic decisions and tragic miscalculations, refuses to disappear. Even when the palace slammed the door. Even when creditors came knocking. Even when the press turned her into a punchline. She kept going. That kind of resilience. It's delusional, yes. But it's also impressive. And let's not pretend she hasn't had chances. She had every chance. She was handed the golden ticket, marriage into the House of Windsor, royal protection, a platform that could have supported any number of stable careers. She could have become a philanthropist, a global ambassador, a respected elder stateswoman. Instead, she chose self-destruction. Why? Because Fergie's addiction was never to money. It was to attention, relevance, adoration. She didn't want to be secure, she wanted to be seen. And in that pursuit, she gambled everything. Her reputation, her relationships, her daughter's peace, her financial future. She bet big. And now, the house is calling its chips, which is why the memoir is her final swing. It's not just a book, it's her legacy. And the way she sees it, she has to own the narrative before someone else does. She's not going to let the royal family write her obituary. She's going to do it herself with drama, flair, scandal, and maybe a few conveniently omitted truths. But once the dust settles, once the book tour ends and the headlines fade, what's left? That's the part no one's talking about. Because at the heart of Sarah Ferguson's story isn't just scandal. It's loneliness. It's a woman who was loved for a moment, adored for a season, and then cast aside when she became too much. It's a woman who never stopped trying to claw her way back into a room where no one wants her anymore. And maybe that's why she keeps swinging. Because silence would mean accepting that the spotlight is gone. That the fairy tale ended decades ago. That she had her shot, and she blew it. And so, she does what she's always done, she turns the wreckage into revenue. But let's be honest, there's a sadness to it. A tragedy buried beneath the designer bags and dramatic headlines. Because if she does tell all, if she truly blows the lid off the royal vault, it won't be empowering. It'll be desperate. A final scream from someone who once had it all and now has nothing left to lose. So yes, Sarah Ferguson is a cautionary tale. About fame, about spending, about marrying a prince and assuming the crown will protect you forever. But she's also something else. She's a mirror. A reflection of what happens when fame is confused for fulfillment. When status is mistaken for security. When the spotlight blinds you to the debt, the disgrace, the damage piling up at your feet. Her story isn't over yet. The memoir is coming. The headlines will light up again. There will be TV interviews, possibly a documentary, maybe even a Netflix bidding war. And for a moment, just a fleeting moment, Fergie will be everywhere again. She smile. She cried. She say, I finally feel free. But the truth, she's been running for years. From her mistakes, from the monarchy, from herself. And whether this final reinvention brings redemption or ruins whatever's left, it's the last page she ever get to write. Because once that final chapter is written, once it's out there, there's no turning back. This isn't a magazine puff piece. It's not a carefully curated Instagram post with a filter and a caption about new beginnings. It's a memoir, a record, a tell-all. And when that hits the shelves, there will be no more plausible deniability. No more sugarcoating. No more spin. She knows it. The palace knows it. The public will know it. And if she goes as deep as insiders are hinting, naming names, recounting private conversations, exposing secrets whispered behind the palace curtains, it won't just scorch earth. It'll ignite it. But the question still lingers in the air like the scent of too expensive perfume on worn velvet. Why now? Because she's out of moves. Because the luxury is gone, the royal connection is threadbare, and the debt is real. Because the monarchy has finally cut the last cord, and with no more royal insulation to fall back on, Her past chaotic, glamorous, scandal-ridden is her only remaining asset. So, she's going to sell it. And let's not pretend the public won't buy it. They'll devour it. Every page, every detail, every explosive claim. Because love her or loathe her, Fergie sells. She always has. She's a tabloid titan, a walking headline. She's drama in prose and scandal in heels. She is everything we can't help but watch: messy, magnetic, maddeningly self-destructive. But after the ink dries, after the press tour ends and the buzz dies down, that's when reality will creep back in. No palace, no title, no safety net, just Sarah, alone, with her story and whatever money she's managed to earn from telling it. And then, silence, because once the story's told, it's told, and there will be no more sympathy to mine, no more secrets to sell, just the truth of what's left. A woman who spent a lifetime outrunning consequence, only to find it waiting at the end like an old friend. She may say she's free now, but in the quiet, away from the cameras and the curated redemption arcs, she knows freedom bought with scandal is just another form of isolation. And as the royal family turns the page without her streamlined, disciplined, scandal-wary Sarah Ferguson will have one last moment in the light, before the curtain falls. And when that curtain does fall, it won't come down softly. It'll drop like a guillotine. Because after everything, after the glamour, the disgrace, the desperate reinventions, there's a question Sarah Ferguson will have to face. One that no book deal, no documentary, no carefully orchestrated comeback can answer for her. Was it all worth it? Was the spending worth the shame? Was the constant chase for relevance worth the wreckage it left behind? Was staying tethered to Andrew long after love faded and scandal took root worth sacrificing every chance at independence? She may tell herself it was. She may say she lived on her own terms. That she survived. That she refused to be silenced, caged, or erased. And to an extent, she'd be right. Fergie is nothing if not a survivor. She has outlived headlines that would have buried lesser royals. She has laughed on talk shows just days after being publicly humiliated. She's made being embarrassing into a bizarre form of brand equity. But survival isn't the same as peace. And reinvention isn't the same as redemption. Because for all her grit, for all her PR pivots and new chapters, the truth is this: Sarah Ferguson has always been chasing a version of herself that never truly existed. A version that was adored by the public, protected by the palace, respected by the world, and financially invincible. But that woman was a fantasy, a product of press releases and tiaras and photo ops at royal banquets. The real Fergie, she was always the outsider inside the palace. Too loud, too brash, too hungry for affection, for validation, for luxury. And instead of learning how to hold on to what mattered, her dignity, her stability, she grabbed at everything shiny and lost it all. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you're officially part of the small percentage of people who don't just click away, and that means a lot. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me your thoughts, your ideas, or even what you'd like to see next. I read every single one of them, and your feedback genuinely shapes the direction of this channel. If you enjoyed the video, tap that like button. It tells YouTube this content is worth sharing. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next upload. We've got more exciting videos coming, and trust me, you'll want to be here for them. This channel is just getting started, and your support helps it grow faster than you realize. Thank you again for spending a part of your day here with me. Stay curious, stay motivated, and as always, take care of yourself. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.